following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
No, what I'm saying is someone's still gonna win, and it might be weak. If
I know
half the field, if just about half the field is playing badly, with golf, you can easily say, "Oh, the course must be hard." They're all playing that. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday here on Divots and Pivots as we bring you in for the Genesis Open this week. And hell, we're going to get right to this, Bugs. There's a lot to talk about. We are on Tiger Watch.
You skipped right. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there who's celebrating with their loved ones. For everybody who was not recently divorced and is
do the blisters I got at the golf simulator today count as my loved ones? For
those listening on the podcast, he held his hand up and has blisters on his palm and fingers and is talking about his loved one on Valentine's Day. I'm not going to actually say it. I'm just going to out there and let you. Nah, man, good to see you. How was it? How was the sim? You were able to sneak away, and where did you play? What did you shoot? How did it feel?
Yeah, so I went to whenever I go alone, I go to Seth Sticker's in Hudson, New Hampshire. They got a good little spot there. It's small, but so you can kind of feel all the people around you, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it did not go well. I felt so uncomfortable over the ball. I played 2 rounds because it was just me. I was there for 2 hours. I just could not get comfortable over the ball today. I was off balance. And then once I started getting the blisters right on my ring finger on my right hand, like I couldn't grip it was uncomfortable to grip the club. So then the club was like twisting. It was brutal. I shot a 99 both rounds. Consistency.
Listen, double digits is better than not. Also, shouts to the belly up hat that you're sporting right there. I always notice. I went with a little throwback myself, a little sawgrass hat from back in the day. You got the love for the dogs there on the side,
of course.
Which made me now I'm super conscious about yours because also where's my little Piper hat over the corner? That's interesting. That's fun. We are at Riviera this week. We are on Tiger Watch in so many ways. He could be jumping I read a statistic like he could jump like 1,000 spots in the official world golf rankings, which we'll talk about that in a little bit too, in Dustin Johnson and what does that all mean cosmically. But this is it. I mean, Riv is here, Waste Management. Thanks for the laughs. I think I eked out a win. Eked out a win, which great for the weekly total, but I'm still lacking in the points, metaphorically speaking, and literally, I guess, in this competition. So we're going to turn our face to Riv. It's 7,300 yards. It's brutal. It's tight fairways. It's dog legs. I love being out west because we get to say things like POA, the POA greens and the Kikuya rough. Do look for that because they're playing some grasses that they don't normally. Listen, all these guys hang out in South Florida and Arizona at their home complexes, or there's a nice crew of them in the Sea Island area as well. Mm-hmm. But then they come to a place like Riviera or these courses that they only get to play once a year. Whenever a tournament comes to Winged Foot that they can get their hands on. Riviera is one of those courses, luckily for them, that it is an annual stop on the tour. It's hosted a couple of majors throughout the years, and it's going to host the Olympics in 2028 when it's out in Los Angeles. So this is a big step. I thought it was really cool to see the star power in the Waste Management and how that is turning into almost this players, and where, I mean, some of the players that we were talking about it, they almost look at it that way. It's a big deal because of how much it means to the fans and the experience and how much it stands alone. Yeah. And then we roll right into Tiger's tournament, which this is for the uninitiated. Mm-hmm. If you've been around golf or even you know who Jack Nicklaus is, he hosts the Memorial, has ever since the 1970s. That's his tournament. You got Arnold Palmer with his name. You got Arnold, but he was great in The Departed. Arnold Palmer and Bay Hill this is Tiger and his invitational tournament. It has elevated status. It always had elevated status, but in this new year, this is our second $20 million purse with a $3.7 million payout for the winner. Smaller field, invitational only. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference in the payout. I don't think it does, because I think the cut still goes down to 50 or 60, but it's such an exciting time for PGA Tour golf, which is why I'm wearing my Live shirt and my PGA Tour hat to show that we can coexist. Also, because do you know what comes out tomorrow or today, depending on whenever you're listening to this?
Yeah, the show you've been it's on Netflix, right?
The show
it is Netflix, right? I'm not. It's not Hulu. It's Netflix, right?
Know, I feel like sometimes I'm in like middle school science class and we're doing a group project and I'm here. I'm really bringing. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's the Netflix show, Full Swing. For those of you who aren't familiar, it looks dope. I told my roommate she has to watch the first episode with me no matter what, because, and this could just be good marketing. It looks like Real Housewives meets, Tin Cup. It looks really interesting. I can't wait to take,
check it out for sure.
You're
to see what it did.
The show next week. We're going to do nothing but talk about it for half the show. We'll break down Riv a little bit, because I do think this is an elevated tournament, and this has status. It's Tiger's tournament. This is one of the things you want him to be giving you that trophy. And I think one of the best things is he's back in the field this week. It was cool as shit to see him last year, standing with his arms crossed in that cream white sweater while everybody off on number one. But it's really dope in his press conferences. And he's been saying it for 25 plus years now. I don't play in a tournament unless I think I can. I think I can.
He
beat
said
these
that
guys
again just the other day.
But I think really, if you didn't see it, the reaction of the players over the weekend when Tiger, which I thought was kind of cool, I'm ready to finally get back into an event. Yeah. And then they all got told after the round, and their reactions were different. They were all excited, but it was like, oh, good.
Damn it, he's back.
It is exciting, and I don't think. Listen, none of these guys are threatened. We've talked about to get to the level that they are, and you're going to see it on display in Full Swing. To get to the level where they are, they have to have this Don Quixote, the greater fool kind of mentality of I am bigger and better and badder than anything out there, because it is just me against the world. So it's such a big week. It's such an exciting time for golf, and I think just when things are going to start coming down. Damn you, Greg Norman and Liv. Y'all are going to come back at us, opposite the Honda. The Honda is going to take a back seat, especially because, I don't know. We'll talk about the Honda when the Honda comes around. Yeah. But back to the Riv. Are you excited for this week? What are your questions, comments, concerns, ponderances, ironic musings? Anything on the brain from golf for you recently?
Other than that, my game sucks. I was so excited to go play. I was like, I feel so good that I couldn't swing the damn club today.
I asked you a question, then I railroaded you. Shocker. Where did you play on the sim? What courses?
Oh, so they didn't have. I was gonna play Scottsdale Riviera just from last week, and then this coming week, just why not? They didn't have either one, so I played Quail Hollow and I played Castle Manor, I think, which. I'm not sure even if Castle Manor is a real course. So
I'm sure it is.
So I don't know if it is, but yeah. So it was. And the issue today was that if there was water anywhere within sight on the projector screen, like it could be 2 holes over, but if you could see it, I hit it in it. So my ball just loved getting wet today. Must be in honor of Valentine's Day, but so yeah, it's just it was bad. It was bad, man.
I love it. All right. Well, last but certainly not least, there was a golf anniversary of sorts over the last week. Mm-hmm. There's a good story about Jack Nicholson. If you've never heard it or seen it, Google it, look it up. Back in 1994, he was driving through Hollywood, and granted, this was before social media or camera phones or anything like that. And he was at a stoplight, and he got out of his car, went to the back of his car. Pop the trunk, grab a golf club, walk to the car in front of him, and smash the guy's windshield in. And I mean, maybe he was method acting. No, he claimed later the guy had cut him off in traffic, and he was just overreacting. Yeah. And it was like a month before they actually caught him. I think it was like mid-March before they actually, he owned up to it. They settled out of court. I'm sure the guy got rich. But years and years and years and years later, I think it was 2007 or 2008, he was given an interview with Golf Magazine. He finally he let loose that it was a 2-iron that he did it. He tried to make it into a joke, saying his subconscious, told him which club to use because it was something he never hits on the course.
Yeah.
This and Jack Nicholson, member at Riviera, I'm sure back in the day, if not, LA in golf is, I'm not gonna say on the come up, but it is sneakily the center of the golf universe for the foreseeable future. Between this week, then we got the LA Country Club for the US Open. And then like I said, we got the Olympics right around the corner. And again, with Tiger taking the mantle of the BSD in the veteran world, I mean, I think Genesis is going to be one of those tournaments forever that guys are going to hold in a different, you'll see kind of Bay Hill and the Memorial not carry as much sentimental weight. It'll always carry the official whatever, but it's just because recency bias, and we still see Tiger. And a truth gun to my head, I love what he said, where I've come off being rusty before, and I've had some pretty good results.
Yeah.
It's almost like Tom Brady in the playoffs. Once he gets there, like, do you really ever want to bet? It's different between putting a bet on him and then betting against him. I'm not putting Tiger in my lineup this week, but if somebody says like, hey, $20 against Tiger, I'm
not doing that. But he's not going to make, even at 7,300, not going to make my lineup either.
Is that what he costs this week? I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, and before we even get, I just lost this one. Before we even get into that, we do have two guys who are in the DK pool, but they are now listed as out, between Brendan Steele and Davis Riley. So Davis Riley, I want to say that because I know that's someone you've played a couple times already this year. I think you just played him this past week, I believe, too, didn't you?
Yeah, fuck him. Life's too short. He didn't produce. He's gonna go, he's gonna come off this, and he's probably gonna win something like Honda next week.
Yeah, he's gonna take this week off, get his head straight, and then just go on a burn the world down tour, whatever that was called. What was the hell were they saying that when the Patriots were going crazy?
Scorched Earth.
Scorched Earth. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Scorched Earth. The Scorched Earth tour.
Timeout. Flag on the play.
Flag on the play. Yeah.
Do we all know, if you haven't tuned in before, I used to be a middle school teacher. One of the classes I taught was world geography. I'm also a Latin dork. Scorched Earth. Truth gun to your head. Do you know the reference?
No.
Oh, okay. So outside of the pads going, outside of the pants going scorched earth. After
I definitely heard it like randomly be used before they used it for the Patriots, but I don't know. I still don't know the reference of where it came from originally.
It's not. There's not a whole lot to it. Armies, when they would be leaving conquered lands, would burn the earth or burn the land, and they would also sometimes they would put salt in the soil so that you couldn't grow crops in it for generations to come. It was a real dickhead move.
Yeah.
So scorched earth is just kind of like, and there's also the other connotation of, or not connotation, the other interpretation of where it just means like fuck it. I'm coming. I'm bringing hell with me, and I don't care if I burn in the process. You're gonna burn. Like it is a mentality. I think you're going to see Tiger go scorched earth on Riv this week. But before we go into our picks, did you see the tee times and the featured groups?
I haven't actually seen them yet.
So I don't know if you need to see any of them, because the only one that matters is you got Tiger, JT, and Rory playing.
You know what? That's a nice soft landing for Tiger, not because of skill level compared to those guys, but I mean, like, that those are two guys he's very comfortable with as far as like being able to keep the attitude loose and friendly and whatnot. So that, I think that works out quite well for Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got Rory, his new business partner, and obviously they have a connection of, I don't know, in kind of a weird way, probably the connection that Michael and LeBron never had. You know what I mean? Like that kind of passing of the torch. You're the next. We all know it, and I know. Part of me thinks that he might have had that with Kobe, and maybe Michael was just pissed at Kobe that, like, Kobe died. I thought about that the other day. So freaking sad. R.I.P. Mamba. Way to bring it on down there.
Jeez. Well, to bring it back up, PGA Tour changed their website layout. It's all different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Complete side note. It's all. I'm so lost. I was just trying to look up the pairings really fast.
The marquee group. So that's what I was gonna say. Tiger, Rory, and JT. That's gonna be all eyes on that. Let's be honest. But the other ones are pretty good. John Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, Victor Hovland.
That's a good one.
I don't know. If Rom's playing well, great. Otherwise, Patrick and Victor. Victor's nice and Patrick, but that's the most vanilla marquee pairing. I think John Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, and Victor Hovland. Again, if Rahm gets going, great.
But those are the type. But those three guys are guys that I feel like would feed off of each other doing good, and the whole group does good. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a powerhouse group from a scoring standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, game respects game, but I think the outlier there is Victor Hovland, who we're big on. I'm big on. I love the kid. He has got a handful of wins, but this could be a win that kind of elevates him into that next step in his career. Adam Scott, who's won here twice. Don't sleep on Adam Scott. Without Dustin Johnson and what's his face, lefty Bubba Watson in the group who've owned Riviera a couple times themselves.
Sure.
Don't sleep on Adam Scott just because he's the horse for this course. Tony Finau, I'm going to spoiler alert. He ranks out top in my model, and he also
he's fourth in mine. So then we're right there with each other.
And we forget it wasn't that long ago that he was winning back to back. I mean, he's still up there. He's still an elevated guy in the game. And then Billy Horschel, which nice hairdo. I hope he wears a hat. Max Homa, Tom Kim, Xander Schauffele. I think that's the most zen trio of. I mean, piss test those guys before they go out. And then I think we got Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, and Colin Morikawa. I really like that. You got basically
because I like Morikawa this week too, and with how Scheffler was playing last week.
And then Jay Rose, Hideki Matsuyama, and Shane Lowry, which I guess you got to throw a bone to the international crowd sometime. But back to what you just said about Scotty Scheffler. It's fucking impressive, dude. I mean, I've been watching this game a long time. No, but I'm racking my brain for a guy who has been popping up like this, and the only names that come to mind are Tiger, Phil, Rory, or you go back a little further and Greg Norman, Nick Faldo, guys like that who had these just peaks, and you're like, oh shit, you're gonna be like, it's legit. I mean, I get that he went on that run last year, culminated in a Masters, was at world number one, but we've seen David Duval did that in the late 90s and then gone. We never saw him again. David Duval went out and, did yoga and then taught skiing in Colorado. And now I love seeing him on the Golf Channel on the coverage because I grew up a big David Duval fan.
Yeah, he was a big name in the 90s.
He always had that big old dip and that big old hog in the front of his front lip, being a Southern boy, like teenagers trying to shove a bunch of tobacco in your mouth. We all looked up to Doovie, but it's going to be that kind of week where I don't think a no name's coming out to win at Riv. You've got to be somebody that we're familiar with. The stakes are too high. How fucking cliche. But no, the spotlight's too high. The spotlight's too big, and there's too many high caliber players playing really well. Rory didn't exactly. I mean, he didn't win at Waste Management, but at the same time, he won everything else recently. Same thing with John Rahm. Scotty Scheffler just reminded everybody that he's there. But even my boy, I was big on Xander Schauffele last week, and he was up there early and often, and then he kind of faded off on Sunday. I don't think you can go wrong. And to prove that, I actually had to look into leverage this week. I started looking at ownerships because I felt like everywhere I was turning, I could convince myself whether it was a gut play or familiarity.
It's no mistake to why, at least in my top 10 in my model, there's no one under 7,900. And I'd say the average salary in my top 10 is easily like right around like $9,400, $9,500. So
let's get to it.
You definitely have to find some leverage and some value.
How did you calculate your top 10?
Yes, let's get into that. So the stats. So I'm taking a break from strokes gained putting this week. I took that out of the mix because I feel like it's consistent as my lineups have been over the past few weeks of using that. I haven't really had the top end lineup performance, so I'm going to try to switch it up. As you stated, hit the mic there. As you stated at the beginning of the show here, you got to hit these fairways. If you don't hit these fairways, you're kind of done for. You're definitely not
trying to get out of that Kikuya run.
Yeah, forget it. So you need to hit these fairways. So I have strokes gained, ball striking, fairways gained, strokes gained approach, and then I also have strokes gained short game mixed in there as well. So those are the key stats that I'm looking at, and I included strokes gained short game in there because in my research, thanks to Fantasy National, looking at the kind of course conditions from the past, Strokes gained short game is much higher needed here in top 10 finishes than other courses on tour. So if you're on Fantasy National and you go over to the course breakdown, you're looking at the charts they have there. When you see a massive difference between this event, they'll give you two options. You'll have a chart for this event and a chart for average tour event. If you see a massive difference like that, you got that's a key that, okay, this is something that's got to stand out this week if you want to hit the guys who are winning and finishing in your top 10. So short game plays out for that reason for me.
You're wrong, and here's what I'm going to tell you why. I'm just kidding. No, I derped out there for a second because I was trying to remember the calculation for ball striking because that's where I went this week. Something that takes off the tee and approach.
Yep.
And not to mention, just when we talk about, you're big on Morikawa. That's his hallmark. He's a ball striker.
Yeah.
And so what separates the ball strikers from the ball strikers? Who's putting well. So I kept putting in there. And so I got strokes gained putting, strokes gained ball striking. And then my key 3 is 3-putt avoidance. These are infamously fast greens.
Like
That's one of the things this and LA Country Club, it's like putting on glass. They're going to have them firm and fast. Tiger's probably been out there a handful of times, or his people being like faster. But I would like to think, no shenanigans, but I would like to think that maybe the superintendent, there's some sort of back channel communication on he's not going to get a favorable setup.
Yeah.
But I would love to know that it's his tournament. Does he get to like request pin placements and shit, even if he's playing? We're going to have to find an insider. Anybody out at Riv that's
out on those conversations when he's playing or not? That is an interesting question.
So ball striking, which again takes approach and off the tee, because you nailed it. Narrow fairways, got to hit them. If you don't, then you really are. And I think that's kind of
you're looking at par at best. If you miss these fairways, you're most likely looking at par at best.
I'm going to give an argument for why I like your argument, and then I'm going to disregard it myself. Because if you're hitting it in the fairway at this level, these guys $150 to 200 in, which is where a lot of these approach shots are going to be. Again, because of the dog legs, they have to either lay back or take chances. And if they take chances, like what you're saying, if you're off a fairway, a lot of these holes are so freaking long that you're looking at that, pitch it out to 75 or in at a comfortable number, try to make up and down. So your short game better be on. I know you're not talking about I know most people think like, oh, short game. So if you miss the green, it's not even miss the green at this course. If you miss the fairway, then all of a sudden you're playing for par and hoping for something miraculous. Just
exactly. The short game helps bring in those par saves that you might need on a couple holes with some of these guys.
I didn't look at the weather because let's be honest, this is Riviera. It's Bel Air or whatever.
Not too worried, but it's very rare weather's going to be a factor out there.
Yeah, if anything, it might be a little nippy in the morning, like we've seen recently out on the West Coast. But it warms up real quick, and again, all that matters is on the weekend it's going to be firm and fast. So let's get after it. Let's get through this 10K and above. I'm going to turn it over to you for 10K, and I'm going to hold my beer for a minute while you tell me what you think about the 10K and above and why.
Yeah, let me reorder this because I have it ordered.
Oh, Jesus.
Right now. It takes 2 seconds. It's already done, okay? But look, you nailed it early on. Leverage is the key this week. So leverage is along with value. So if I'm going to pay up for anyone in the 10K, I'm definitely looking at projected ownership. And it looks like people, the masses right now are assuming that Scotty Scheffler is going to be high owned because he's actually the least projected ownership at under 12% out of that 10K and above range. Now, we don't see back-to-back wins happen all that often, so I'm personally going to stay away from him at that percent, even at that percentage, because, like I said, the back-to-back is rare. But look, if I'm gonna pay for anyone up here, I'm just gonna pay for Jon Rahm. He's just worth it right now, and he's only 14% projected ownership. At this point, he's playing so far out of his mind. He's just worth every cent. And there will be we're going to have to find value anyways this week. So I'm going to play Rahm if I'm going to play anyone up here.
I agree. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I might if I go with more than one lineup, which normally I put my lineup in with you and then I focus on the other league, which I'm slowly clawing my way back into position. More details to come after the first major.
Not surprised.
But I was looking at that myself thinking in a field this strong, you're going to be able to find the value down there. And again, John Rahm's another one. You going to bet against him? No. And the ownership works. He ranks out. He doesn't rank out great in my model, which is honestly why I probably won't.
He's fifth in my model.
Fascinating. But
he hasn't finished outside the top 10. I just saw this now that I have everything put together. He hasn't finished outside the top 10 in his last 5 appearances.
Yeah.
Just think of that. That's ridiculous. That's a crazy run.
Well, because this course is up there, like we said earlier, this is up there with PGA West as one of the toughest tracks that they face consistently year in and year out.
Yep.
Obviously, they go to a place like Kiowa for PGA where they push it back to 8,100 yards, and then you got the wind whipping off the coast. Mm-hmm. But this is just consistently day in and day out a good track, tight track, really difficult for these guys. And I like to see excellence, and I really like to see excellence nervous. Yeah. You know, it's one thing to see them, you know, play and they feel comfortable. I love seeing them grind over this. The cut has been over par, I think, the last 4 or 5 years, and this year they're already projecting it 1 to 4 somewhere in there. So I think it's gonna be fun. All right, 10K and above. We both like John Rahm. If you're gonna pony up the dough, go ahead and do it, and then drop down and find your value, because the value's there. But before we get down to value,
let's show about consensus. Hold on, we're gonna start this up here. Show consensus. Ring the bell, because we both agree John Rahm is the play up top. We're just trying it out.
I like that again. Hold on. All right, so you heard it here first. If you really are going to pony up the dough, do it this week. John Rahm's on a freaking heater, and with a field like this, you can find the value deeper in the field.
Yeah, and to be fair, if we're going to say John Rahm is on a heater, which is fair to say because he is, we can't ignore the fact that Scotty Scheffler is on a heater as well. Yes, it's rare to go back to back, but over his last 5 appearances, T11th is his worst. So he's almost right there with Rahm as far as all top 10s in his last 5. So Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm both just crushing it right now. But
all right, let's get real and get into the 9K range, because that's where most people are going to plant a couple flags if they can, which I am hoping to plant 2 if I can this week. And a lot of it has to do with that leverage. Both of the guys that I looked at are either 10% or less owned, and they both rank out in the top 10 in my model. And I'm talking about, and I'm just taking it. I'm just running with it.
Go for it.
I'm talking about Sungjae Im and Sam Burns. I think Sam Burns' recent form, and I've talked a little bit of shit about him, and I think it's because I was big on him early, and then he let me down. But T6 last week, T11 at the American Express, 32nd at the Century Tournament of Champions, which isn't great when you consider that was actually probably out of a field of 32. Yeah. But he is coming off of good form. And
the form is there.
I love Sam Burns. And Sungjae Im, anytime he pops up in my model and I pass him over, he's up in the top 10. I'm going with Sungjae for sure. I'm thinking about adding the Sam Burns sweetener.
Well, and you want to talk about good form too. Sungjae Im is right up there because his last 3 turns, he's been playing a lot recently. He played last week, he played the Farmers, and he played the MX. So he's played 3 out of the last 4 weeks. I think that adds up to. He's finished T6, T4, and T18th in those. So he's in fantastic form as well, and he's also in my model. I have him as ranking out 10th in my model, and at 9,400, 10% own. Sungjae Im, I think might be getting a little, because I think he'll be in my lineup as well, because I do love me some Sungjae Im this week.
I could not love you more for bringing the bell into my life. Quick pause. Story time with Uncle Bud. But then we're going to get down. Then we're going to get down into the 8K range. And I will say this: if you need a little kind of like wild card in that 9K, Max Homa, defending champ, or not defending champ. He won. No, he won last year.
He won in 21.
Thank you. Sorry,
but he finished 10th last year, and he finished 5th in 2020. So the last 3 years, he's been money at this tournament.
And the guy's nails. He's on the come up. I love Max Homa. You got to give him some love.
The one thing with him is that he is projected 19% owned, which I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think he might be the highest.
It's like a home game for him. I don't know if he's a member there or not, but I mean, he is a Cali boy. The bell. I am massively happy about the bell. If Georgia fans know, and it's a different bell, but Georgia fans know that the biggest tradition we have is the chapel bell on North Campus, University of Georgia, going back into the 1700s, 1800s. There's an old chapel, and it's a beautiful church. It's wonderful, and behind it, there's a giant bell. And after big home wins or any big victory or big events, people ring the bell. It used to be a tradition that, like, after a big home win, the freshmen would have to ring it all night. I have a little beanie. I have a little beanie cap that I wear. Beanie cap. I have a toque, I guess they call them in this place, the skull cap toque, beanie, whatever you want to call them. Says ring the bell on the front of it. And this morning told a story about Alexander Graham Bell. Because on Valentine's Day, he got his patent for the telephone. Fun fact. Back to
look at that. You're full of it. Full of all these.
That's what I'm saying. The bell is an appropriate thing. I appreciate you introducing that into our lives. 8K. Talk to me about 8K.
Yes, let's get into the 8K.
This is
and here's the reality of the situation. Sorry, here's the reality of the situation here when it comes to 8K. If you are paying up to anyone over 10K and above, and if you are pairing that with someone in the 9K range, unfortunately, you are most likely completely skipping the 8K range. And if you're paying up for John Rahm alone, there's a good chance you might be skipping the high end of the 8K range anyways, but we're not going to ignore it here for you anyways if you are digging into the 8K range.
That's right, because regardless of our strategy, which you're talking about, is you're either going studs and duds, or you're going like average Joes. And so if you're going to be if you're playing around the 8K range, more often than not, you're going with an average Joe.
Yeah, but look, someone in the 8K range is ranking out number 1 in my model this week. And actually, two of my favorite plays, number 1 and number 2, are ranked in the 8K range for me this week, and that is Tom Kim and that is Jason Day. Both. Look, I was on Jason Day last week. Jason Day, it looks like he might be back. Honestly,
I think he's back. I hope he's back.
He's figured something out. He hasn't played here since 2020, so I'm not too worried about his past results there. But in his last 3 tournaments, he's finished 5th. T7 and T18. Yes, he missed the cut at the RSM, but at the Houston Open, he also finished T16. So it feels like Jason Day is back. He's a ball striker. In the last 24 rounds, he ranks out 8th in the field in ball striking. So he's right where you want to be, and he's right around 12% projected ownership. So at 8,400, Jason Day is one of my favorite plays. And then, of course, Tom Kim, like I said, ranks out number 1. He can turn it on. He had a bit of a disappointing week last week. I know you were on him. That's probably why he was disappointing. But
he needed a dick.
But he is projected only 7% ownership, and with that kind of leverage for the possibility of what he can be like, here's what you can do here. If you choose to skip out on the 10K range completely and ignore most of the 9K range, I don't mind starting a lineup with Tom Kim and Jason Day and kind of seeing where you can gain value from there once you start doing the math.
All right, sorry about the whole "eat a dick" comment.
That was pretty aggressive. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't say it wasn't deserved. No, but I love what you're doing with Jason Day. He actually ranks out high in my model. He's 6th in my model. I'm staying away from him this week. I think just because of a leverage play, and I'm a little more in love with Tyrrell Hatton.
Oh, interesting.
Tyrrell's coming off a T6 finish. He ranks high in my model, and he's rolling the rock. So he's hot or not, and right now Tyrrell's hot. So that gives me Tyrrell.
6 last week for sure.
I have a funny feeling about him because when he's on, he can be accurate. If you remember, he was part of I think it was a DP World Tour thing last year where they were over in the Middle East somewhere. I want to say they were in the Middle East or they were in Europe because whatever town they were in was having a Formula One at the same time. And so him and Rory and a bunch of the other guys were on a challenge where they had to go out in the middle of this Formula One track, and they had a 1-yard strip of grass.
You know what? I watched that.
Remember?
Actually, I did see that. Yeah,
he was the one to drop it on there. That's not why I'm picking him this week. I'm trusting the science, but and the leverage. Yeah, I think he's very low owned. I want to say he's definitely single digits, if not.
He's projected 10.2%.
That's crept up since I last checked it out.
He's gaining some steam. Obviously, his recency bias from last week, I'm sure, is what is driving that with the top 10 finish.
But Tyrrell Hatton's another one, and then the 8K range has an international flair for me because come on down, Matty Fitzpatrick. Matty
Yeah,
Fitzpatrick is 8% projected ownership. And I think he ranks out, I think 20 in my model, which my models, let's be honest, this is kind of like witch doctor magic if you really get down to it. Yeah, he's 20th in my model, but 8,300 major winner. And he's playing okay. I just think like he's a big name down there at 8K to kind of overlook. It's almost like overlooking Will Zalatoris if he was healthier, Jordan Spieth. If this was not a course that required accuracy off the tee, Jordan Spieth is such he's such a gunslinger.
I know, like, but he just cannot find a fairway right now.
Fuck with like
he's losing strokes right now. He's at losing 1.1 if I'm reading this stat here correctly. He ranks 124th in the field out of about I think it's 131 are in the field right now for this week. So he's pretty much dead last in fairways games.
Right, but I don't know if there's another tour player that I would let watch my kid above Jordan Spieth. He might be the nicest human being on tour. He's up there with like Tony Finau with like guys. I don't unless they go full like off the rails. How can you hate them? So in the 8K range, I like the Matty Fitzpatrick. I like the Tyrrell Hatton. You like the Jason Day, and you like the Tom Kim. It's an international 8K.
Yeah. Fair enough. So let's get into the 7K then, because this is where we're gonna have to have people make us some money. This is where separation
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, the 7K, and we're gonna have to find some magic in the 6K possibly too, depending on how you build your lineup. But for me, in the 7K, it starts right at the top of 7K at 7,900. Siwoo Kim this week ranks out 9th in my model. He's been a master of consistency his last 3 tournaments, finishing in the 20s in all 3 of them. He did win the Sony Open as well a little while back. So Siwoo Kim ranks out top 43 on short game. It's his worst ranking. Other than that, he's top 25 in all of my key stats this week. So I like Siwoo Kim at 7,900 and only roughly 10% owned.
Is that it?
Well, I was just giving one at a time here, but let's see who else ranks out. so here's another guy who's been
give me your 7K slate.
Okay, so here another guy who I'm nervous to play, but damn, he's been playing well recently. Even Ricky Fowler, he had the hole in one this week, right?
Dick Rick, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
A hole in one on Sunday from Ricky Fowler. You took it right. I had him earmarked and asterisked. And I didn't put him in my short list for no other reason.
He ranks out well in my model, but he just didn't make my short list. He ranks out 19th in my model, but it's still like I know what I'm seeing. I'm seeing him play well, and I'm seeing the results. He 10th last week, 11th at the Farmers, 54th at the Amex, and then we go back to 34th at CJ Cup, 2nd at the Zozo. So like he's been playing pretty well. His ranks out well in all the stats. Why don't I believe it though? Like, why can I not bring myself to play him though?
Because he hasn't won in forever, and he lost his tour card, and he's one of those guys. I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, he went the Smiley Kaufman route, but he got back on the train before he fully lost his shit. I mean, when you get millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, so many fucking people play this game. There's only 125 every year that have a full ride on this tour. And there's even fewer that kind of have that quote unquote guaranteed scholarship that they've earned. I'm not saying that. Yeah. So yeah, when you're Ricky Fowler and you were there, I mean, you were on that level, and then all of a sudden, like the game's not there because
for a while the game was about him. I mean, he was the social aspect of the game of golf. He brought the entire young generation into the game just by his attitude and his personality and his sponsor. Like he did all that.
He was a BMX kid, basically. He's a motocross kid, BMX kid, and it was just safer. Golf's a safer alternative. But the long hair, the orange, the orange from Oklahoma State, and you're right. Like the kids, he brought a whole generation, and then he couldn't deliver, he couldn't perform, and he didn't have enough chits in the bank to be able to just ride for the rest of his career. Again. I would even say if like Justin Rose is a great example coming off that AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, had he not won that, he's still going in the Hall of Fame. Like he's major gold medal.
He's done it for long enough
Ricky needs another win or two. He does have that Olympic medal. He does have a players, but he needs another win or two, or he needs another major win, or he needs one more international, like a Ryder Cup type moment before he gets back up into that tier, I think. And I'm not saying that drives him not down on that minutia, but that's part of the recipe that does push him. But the reason we don't pick him is because he's been there and he's not back yet. He's got to actually follow through. But in the 7K range, there's somebody that ranks out wonderful in my model this week. He's been playing really well. He's a New England favorite, and I've passed him over one too many times. Come on down, Keegan Bradley. You can go ahead and take a seat right next to me in my lineup. You are going to play this week, 7,700. He's fifth in my model. He's just been up there. And we're getting into the competitive season. After that heartbreak at the Players last year, I think Keegs, well, his name's not Keegan anymore. It's just Keegs. If you've seen the guy, he's a fucking rail. Like he's a shadow of his former self.
Yeah.
So, which good for him. I don't know if it's like he's gone vegan or Pilates or whatever, but he looks good. Keegan Bradley is going to be in my lineup. Seamus Power is a very close second because Seamus Power has been knocking and he's been in good form. He's been on the first page of the leaderboard recently and once again ranks out in my lineup well enough to bring the value. It's 30th, but when you're starting to splice hairs towards the end, he sticks out. Also, I think he's like 3% owned, maybe. So that's that other part of like, if you're top 30 there. And then the last one, because of recency bias, and I think that, he ranks out to 18th in my model, Adam Hadwin, Canada. Yeah. He's another one that's playing well. Keep chopping wood, and eventually the maple syrup will flow. So my 7K sweethearts this week. See what I did there with Valentine's Day and 7K sweethearts? I'm tweeting that out tomorrow. Keegan Bradley, Seamus Power, Adam Hadwin. I think combined they may or may not hit double digits in ownership. So it's a good foundation if you need to spend some money.
Well, Keegan Bradley projected 9% right now. So Adam Hadwin projected 9% right now. So.
OM goodness. I can't believe I forgot one more 7K sweetheart that I had earmarked.
We don't want to starve the masses. Hit us.
Bo Hostler. Bo the Visor Hostler. He's 30th in my model. T14 last week. T11 at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. He doesn't cost a lot of money at $7,200. Bo Hostler could be somebody who, and his name is Bo, and he wears one of those billboard visor type deals. So Bo Hostler, if you need to save a little cash, go with Bo.
Okay. The only other guy I want to mention in the 7K range is Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor coming off a great performance this last week. Can't ignore that. And considering that performance, he's only projected to 5.5% ownership right now. He ranks out 17th in my model. Like I said, he the second place last week. He finished T20 at the AT&T, and he finished. He didn't play here last year, but year before that in 21, he finished T20 here as well. And this is just simply a guy who can put it in the fairway with consistency, and then as long as it's in the fairway, he's another dart thrower. So I like Nick Taylor at 7,400.
Dart thrower. I like that reference. Do you have anybody in the 6K range that you feel like giving a moment to?
I do. I have one guy that I feel is worth giving.
I do as well. Do you want to say the name on? We'll do 1, 2, 3, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, let's do that because that could be fun. And then if we do, then we'll pause for the bell because we'll have a rare bell in the 6K range.
Yeah, because that could be fun because that's what it's all about. All right,
let's see.
Let's see if we have a 6K agreement. 1, 2, 3. Sam Ryder.
Nope, we do not have an agreement. Hit why Ryder for you?
Well, first of all, T20 last
right name. Did I hear the right name?
Yeah, Sam Ryder. I'm just I can't believe, how do you not see this? He was T20 last week. He was T4 at the Farmers after almost winning the damn thing. He is fucking hot right now. I don't care what to be fair,
he ranks only one position behind James Hahn for me, so I don't not see it.
Where does James Hahn rank for you?
28th and Ryder's 29th for me. And they have like equal projected ownership.
Right. He's 17th in my model and he's 6,700. They know something we don't, because that kind of back-to-back top 20 performances should put you in the 7K, if not higher. There's got to be some other thing going on, because he's putting well, he can hit the ball, and he's performing. So to see Sam Ryder down in the 6K range, this again, we go back to, this is the kind of win that can not define, but maybe define, depending if you're Ricky Fowler, maybe launch yourself if you're Sam Ryder. But winning Tigers tournament's a big fucking deal. So to see Sam Ryder down there at 6,700, the way he's playing, don't sleep on Sam.
Well, then my only hold up with Sam is that he ranks 94th in fairways gained, which is one of the ones I'm definitely weighing out high this week. And that's the main reason why I chose to go James Hahn over him. James Hahn he's a risky play at 67, but at 6,700, that's what's going to happen. He finished T32 last week, but before that, he did miss 3 straight cuts. What I like about James Hahn is that he hasn't missed the cut here at this tournament on this course in his last 5 attempts here, going back to 2017, including 3 top 20 finishes between 2018, 2020, and 2021. So this is a guy who's familiar with the course, who's comfortable on the course. It doesn't scare him. And like I said, between Sam Ryder, who's 94th in fairways gained in the field, and James Hahn, who's 44th, that is enough for me to just give the edge to James Hahn for me.
Until James Hahn apologizes for that shitty tweet about having to spend a bunch of money flying around the world playing golf for a profession, that was one of those most
tone death, right?
Thank you. Death. That was one of the most talk about rich people problems.
I know.
Do you
I'm
know
sorry,
what
the fly coach then.
Right. Do you know what it costs to fly from Shanghai to South Carolina on a have you seen it? Do you know what eggs cost? Actually, in fairness, eggs were a lot cheaper when he made that tweet. No, but I agree. James Hahn is a name, and he was playing well last week. I remember because of my hatred for his tweet. Don't know the dude. He's probably a great guy, but because of the hatred for the tweet, he's on my radar now. So I saw that he was playing well. I just will not put him in my lineup until he either wins, because once you win, then you're too good to ignore. Or he comes out and acknowledges that he was being a little titty baby bitch when he was talking about his flight plans. All right.
TBB. I like that, titty baby bitch.
God, grow up.
We just had our YouTube max out for inappropriate words with that one thing.
I'll never be on cable or network. Question for you: are we done with DraftKings? I mean, can people tune out if they're done with the betting? Because did you see the list of 14 best golf movies ever?
I actually did not see that list, but that interests me. Where was that list? Because I want to go find it now. Do you remember where it was posted at?
Well, yeah, /film.com. Are you not a subscriber to /film.com? Come on, man.
I'm not. Is that slash spelt out, or are we talking like the / on the keyboard?
It's actually the Guns N' Roses guitarist emoji. And
okay,
thank you.
Yeah, that'll work. I don't know you are right.
No,
that might get us to the dark web.
It's the Silk Road. God, have you seen those documentaries about the Silk Road?
I've seen them. It's wild.
So yeah, if you're ever looking for a kidney or a sex slave, go to the dark web, find the Silk Road. All right, number 14 is called what a great pivot from dark web kidneys right into, it's called A Gentleman's Game in 2002. Never heard of it.
So I feel like I've heard of it, but that sounds familiar, but I've never seen it, I don't think.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. So if you're tuning in right now, we're going to go through the 14.
Yeah, let's do it.
Each one has its 2 to 3 sentence primer. We're going to do a quick little review of the 14 according to /film.com. No hating on /film. They beat me to the list. I haven't done 14 golf film. I didn't know there was 14 golf
Honestly,
films.
I'm surprised there's 14. So I'll be interested to see what's on this list. And just also fun as we go through this, initial reaction without re-ranking everything. We're not going to do that, but initial reaction if you feel like when you say a movie, if you're like you thought that'd be higher, if you think it's too high.
Yeah, I mean, out of 14, I think that maybe A Gentleman's Game should be 15. This Hallmark original, a curious little film about life. The ironically titled A Gentleman's Game has all the characteristics of a Hallmark Channel original, right down to the cheesy DVD cover art. Okay.
Yeah, you lost the hallmark for sure.
There's a reason. Oh, it stars somebody named Timmy. We're not going to go through the all. All right, number 13, 1953's The Caddy, your favorite. Martin Lewis's heyday back in the 50s. The great comedic duo, Martin and Lewis. They had a movie called The Caddy. I know I'm going to be checking that out later tonight.
Yeah, I've never seen it
after my Valentine's Day shenanigans. Number 12, 2004's Bobby Jones, Stroke of Genius. Before or after he was Jesus Christ, James Caviezel was Bobby Jones. Check that out. It's actually not a bad movie. I think I saw it once, never saw it again. Number 11, and this is right here where I know that slashfilm.com is completely full of shit, because number 11 is The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Bullshit.
Legend of Bagger Vance is the number one golf movie of all time. 10 Cups, 1A or 1B.
Yeah, so
Legend of Bagger Vance, Caddyshack's. Legend of Bagger Vance is the single. First of all, they wanted Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt to be the leads, and they passed. They were a little big at the time, and I'm glad they did, because I can't see anybody other than Will Smith and Matt Damon doing this. And Legend of Bagger Vance, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen that movie, how the fuck did you find this show and not have seen The Legend of Bagger Vance? All right, 2011, and actually I see a black woman wearing a hat, and I'm automatically going to watch this because I didn't know that golf had multicultural films. Taraji, and I love her, Taraji P. Henderson, or Henson. Taraji P. Henson from the hell's the show?
She's in so many things.
Oh my God.
She was in,
it's with Terrence Howard. It's the biggest fucking show on cable, or Empire, I think it's called.
Yes, she was in Empire. Yep.
From the Rough. 2011's From the Rough.
I've never seen that or heard of it.
Neither have I. And it has to do with Tennessee State University's men's golf team.
That was ranked to get ahead of The Legend of Bagger. Like, what the?
I'm going to call that. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to make a comment about that on air.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm glad you stopped me, because I can't pass judgment on something. I actually am curious about that, though. That looks dope as fuck.
Well, I kind of need to see it now. If it's going to be where it is, I kind of have to see it.
It says From the Rough wears its heart on its sleeve and is about predictable as a 4-foot putt. Like, come on. And like I said, I kind of got a little crush on Henson. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Oh my God. Number 9, 1951, Follow the Sun. If you need to cry, do two things. A, go Google Ben Hogan and read about his car wreck, and B, watch this film. Ben Hogan. Sorry. Do you know what I'm referencing though with Ben Hogan though? And you know what? Let me actually.
I don't know what Grace history. That's where me.
That's my point. Let me show a little Grace.
I don't.
Because then we'll get into the second half of the list, which these movies are pretty good. Legend of Bagger Vance, number 11, bullshit. Like, that's all credibility's out. Dude, when we get off, your homework is to go to Ben Hogan's Wikipedia page and check out what happened to him. First of all, the guy served in the war, World War II. He was the best golfer known to man, West Texas, this, that, the other. He was in a car wreck that crushed his pelvis, broke his hips, everything else. We're talking like, have you ever seen The Natural with Robert Redford?
I believe so, yeah. That sounds familiar. I think I've seen it.
Bad example. Ever heard of Tiger Woods?
Yes.
All right. So you remember when Tiger was in a car wreck?
Yeah.
And his leg almost disintegrated?
Yep.
And then everybody like bawled their eyes out when he like played a tournament again?
Sure. Yeah.
Imagine if he went on to win like 5 majors after that.
Yeah, that'd be it.
That's the Ben Hogan story. Everything great he did, he pretty much did after this car wreck, which by modern standards, oh, dude, beyond wild. Miraculous, angels, the whole bit. I'm so happy that I get to actually say this with you, because my daughter's going to be the next person to hear about it whenever she's old enough. Sure. Yeah. And whoever's listening to this, if you've not looked into the Ben Hogan, that movie, Follow the Sun, it's a wonderful, I watched it way back in the day. I got to watch it again. But it's the story of perseverance like it's never been told before. Nice. Tommy's Honor 2016. That ranked 8th. Great film. It's on Golf Channel at 3 a.m. if you ever need to check it out. And it's in reference to old Tom Morris and that family, like the origins of golf, really the foundations. You can't appreciate this game. I don't care if you're out at the driving range crushing beers, if you're out here for the good times, if you're playing this sport, have a little bit of frame of reference, invest 90 minutes of your life, and have some appreciation for where it came from. What the fuck is Dead Solid Perfect? Number 7 is 1988's Dead Solid Perfect. It says
Jesus, I have no clue.
it would be considered a classic if Tin Cup didn't swoop in and do a better version of its story less than a decade later. It's the tale of professional but not quite extraordinary golfer Kenny Lee, Randy Quaid, Cousin Eddie. Okay. Cousin Eddie as a pro golfer, number 8. Great. 1952, Pat and Mike, another movie I didn't know existed about golf. Fans of all right, classic film buffs. You're gonna love this. You probably already do. I'm probably late to the party. Fans of Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn are sure to get a kick out of Pat and Mike, a charming, wonderfully written comedy about a golfer named Pat struggling to reconcile athletic fame with her problematic personal life. You know what's funny about this is it sounds like it parallels Babe Zaharias and some of the other early golf, Louise Suggs, some of these early golf. I love that you said, like, she is some of the pioneers of the LPGA tour in the women's game and the things that they were going through being a badass golfer in the 1950s when golf was about men and martinis. And here's this chick who can swing a club. And Katharine Hepburn's just, let's be honest.
She's Katharine Hepburn.
She's Katharine Hepburn. Let's be honest. All right, number 5. And here we go. Top 5.
Oh, sorry. This is where the magic happens.
I'm okay with this because of the number of movies that are out there. Number 5, 1996, Happy Gilmore.
Sure. That's kind of where I expected it to be. I expected it to be top 5. So I personally probably would have put The Legend of Bagger Vance at number 5 and Happy Gilmore 6, but we've already kind of established that we weren't there for their ranking of that one. So
yet here we are. So we got. You know what I love about this though? If golf's home is in Scotland, I understand that New York claims some ownership of golf because St. Andrews and the First Club and all that bullshit. Yeah. But number 5 was Adam Sandler, who's a New England guy, golf movie. Yep. Number 4, Greatest Game Ever Played. I'm not arguing that either.
Nope. Such a good movie.
Great movie, wonderful book. Great book, wonderful movie. And it's a true fucking story. And the Francis We Met Foundation. Actually, I should see if the gentleman would come on. I know the guy who's the executive director of the Francis We Met Foundation. They still do a scholarship. Yeah, they still do their caddy scholarship. They do wonderful work, and it's a really dope kind of group and organization. It reminds me almost of like a Heisman, the way that the Heisman scholarship, the Heisman Foundation, the Heisman Brotherhood, the way that the We Met Scholarship Foundation, the way they talk about each other and everything, it really is cool. So I love that. Number 4, Greatest Game Ever Played. Shouts to the We Met Scholarship Fund. Go Google them if you don't know that story. It's a really dope story. Number 3, just finally saw the first half of this on a flight recently. Got to finish it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Phantom of the Open. I'm going to pause. Do you have any idea what this is? And if not, that's okay. You shouldn't.
I haven't heard of it. It is in the top 5, and I haven't even heard of it,
dude. And I haven't even seen the whole thing. I've only seen the first 45 minutes on a flight recently, and I already am okay with its position.
Okay,
number 3.
I'll trust you on that. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll trust you on that, though. I thought for sure I was going to know everyone in the top 5. Like I thought I would have put money on it.
2 things: A, true story. B, involves, so I already fucked myself up because I'm setting up for 3 or more, but I said 2. 2 things: A, true story. B, involves a major championship, the Open, the major championship. And C, is all about trolling, and it is brilliant. This guy basically was a mine worker, and no spoilers because I don't know it, and it's a true story, so you can look it up.
Sure, yeah.
But this guy who was like a mine worker and was about to get fired by his own son, who just got a managerial role, hears that any Joe Shit the Ragman can go and qualify for the Open Championship, and he sees it on TV, so he goes, "I'm going to go do that." And hilarity ensues. He records the highest official score ever in the history of the Open Championship qualifier. So Phantom of the Open is number 3. Tin Cup is number 2, and
Okay.
Caddyshack is number 1. I think that's kind of honorary and traditional.
Yeah.
Love the Phantom of the Open at 3. You need to see it.
I'm gonna look that up.
Everybody
That sounds like I like the concept of the way that sounds.
But I'm still protesting number 11.
Yeah,
having Bagger Vance that low. That's bullshit.
That was a shock. That was definitely a shock. Well, we got some homework to do. Then we got a few movies in there in the top 10 that we've never even heard of that we gotta have to look up.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
I got back quick.
What?
Big week next week.
Sorry, what did you just say before?
we have a big week next week, right? I was stumbling over my own words.
Oh my God, you're right. We're about to end
and
the
then
show. We just right over this.
Well, that's because that is how much is going on in the golf world right now.
Oh
Shit's
my God,
hot.
we didn't even right over this.
We didn't even get into half the stuff we needed to. By the way, have been playing on the GarageBand. Got a little jingle in the mix. I'll send it over to you. I'm toying. I need to wrestle some demons. I have a little bit of love for this like grungy New Jersey Bruce Springsteen, like hard, like our fucking lead-in's tough and boom, bow, bow. I was listening to some Widespread Panic over the weekend, mostly because the golf tournament the Super Bowl out of nowhere threw some Widespread Panic on there.
And then it just clicked in your head. You're like, I gotta listen.
Truth gun to your head. Do you know who Widespread Panic is?
I don't know.
That's my point. They're a Southern jam band from Athens, Georgia, and they're massive in like the granola hippie grunge jam band community. People who like Fish, people who like the Grateful Dead. They're big into who the hell else was I just talking about? Widespread Panic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got.
Well, you said who else? So I was like, did I miss somebody else other than Widespread Panic? You threw me off.
I was thinking about bands like Jupiter Coyote, Stewart and Winfield. Which Stewart and Winfield is not so much jam band as they are like y'alternative. But now I'm getting into regional music, and this is a golf show. So, Junior, why don't you bring us home, and we'll see you next week after we've all watched our movies and tuned into the Riv.
Yes. So we buried the lead. We mentioned it. We've been mentioning it for the last 2 weeks now, but next week will be the week. Next Tuesday, the Divots and Pivots show will be bringing our famous faces here to the airwaves of the Fantasy Sports Corp. So go to their YouTube, Fantasy Sports Corp. Look them up. Give them a subscription. We will be on there same time, 8:00 Tuesday night. But we will be airing on there from now on. This channel will not disappear just yet, but we will no longer be going live on this channel or be posting the show on this channel. Who knows? Maybe we'll find another use for this channel with some other live. If we can figure out a schedule to get some live golf fun stuff kind of mixed in there, we'll see. But no promises on that. But Fantasy Sports Corp is going to be where you can see us. Still produced by Belly Up Media, still in that Belly Up family, but it's Fantasy Sports Corp, YouTube, every Tuesday, 8:00. That's where you can find us, starting next Tuesday. And I'm sorry we buried that lead. If you're still listening, I hope you are. We will be posting that on Twitter a lot this week. I'm going to get a lot of posts out.
Sorry, I was just checking my email for a note from Fantasy Sports Corp saying, "Excuse me, we've actually filled the time slot. You jokers can take this and go elsewhere." We should have led with that.
We should.
But again,
you know what? I was about to, and then like the conversation just went into something else, and then we just kept going. It was like we took that slight. When a line will look straight, even though it's slightly off angle, and all of a sudden you get to the end and it's like miles apart. That's what we did. I was ready to say it at the beginning, and we just kept going in the other direction, slowly but surely.
I like that you went there. I was thinking much more of like it was a bill that I got in the mail that I was like, yeah, I'll pay that, and I just put it aside, and I will pay it. I promise.
It might be 3 months from now, but
yeah, you're gonna get your money, bitch. Better have my. Hey, speaking of, hey.
We didn't even talk the Super Bowl. I know.
Nah, fuck the Super Bowl. Halftime show. I have a soft spot for Riri and a hard spot, if you know what I mean. I love the music. I've been singing Umbrella in my car for the last God knows how long because I saw a video of Tom Holland doing. If you haven't seen the video of Tom Holland doing his lip sync battle, with his girlfriend. Well, then at the time,
I
girlfriend.
think you brought this up last week too. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm still in love with it. So after seeing the halftime show, glad I got to see my Umbrella rendition.
Sure.
I'm on it. Team Riri. We still need another album. But until then, I thought it was good. The ads sucked.
I didn't think it was
ads were awful.
I didn't think it. Well, the ads were terrible. I did not think the show was like one of the best of all time, but I appreciated the simplicity.
No, definitely not that.
I appreciated the simplicity of the performance and the fact that it was literally just her and the same dancers, no outfit changes, no stage changes, no guest performers. It was just straight, nonstop music, nonstop dancing, and then it was done. And the fact that she did it pregnant, and the fact that she kept it simple, like I appreciated all of that. I appreciate it.
I did too. I loved my wife went freaking nuts. And if you're just tuning in, my wife is also my roommate. We only have 3 people in this house and a dog and a cat. And I guess my ego. So we have 6 people in this house.
And one of us has the biggest room.
And so I fucking loved it. She was happy about the baby bump, but I agree with you on that point. I was like, this is dope because I kept on waiting. I'm like, well, unless you're going to bring out Kanye to do that one of your songs, which nobody's bringing Kanye out right now soon, or you're going to bring out Jay-Z to do a song. Who are you going to bring out? You can't. So it's just her, those dancers.
Eminem was there last year, so yeah.
I loved the jokes about her being pregnant, the little red outfit and all the white sperm. Yeah, I don't think that was unintentional. I think
that was fully intentional.
Yes.
At one point, I don't know if you thought it was great. But at one point, I forget what song it was during. At one point, one of the dancers came away from the rest of the group and was basically dancing with just her. Like it was just the 2 of them dancing for a very short period of time. But I mean, there was that too. I think that
I got to mention that to my roommate and see if she noticed it too.
I think that was definitely on purpose. If you go back and watch it, somewhere like towards like the 3/4 mark of the show, it's like kind of towards the end of it. Yeah, I noticed that, and that was before I got the reference of all the the people saying that that's what that was going on. But I did notice that one dancer stepping away from the rest at that one point.
So the golfers have gone to bed. Was it? It was holding on that play. But
so here's my problem.
Yes, the multiple angles thing, like, dude, it was holding. Hell, the guy grabbed the fucking jersey, and he admitted to it. When people are like, he admitted to it, he has to admit to it. No matter what, even if he didn't at that moment, you have to admit to it. Like, no harm. But the replays, he absolutely not the replay that they were showing on network coverage, but about a split second before, yanked the fuck out of that jersey. That said, I appreciate him doing it, not just because he was trying to cheat. He had been getting away with it all game.
Well, and I think
that's the tempo, right?
My issue with the call isn't even the fact that they made the call at that time of the game. Like, that wasn't my issue with the call. My issue with the call was that they weren't throwing flags at all that game. That wasn't a penalty all game, just as much as no other holding was a penalty all game. They were letting these guys play. And then that's when you pick the moment to say, never mind, we're going to play this one call close to the vest. Because I'm sorry, yes, was it holding to the letter of the law? Did he grab the jersey? Yes. But if you really watch Juju Smith-Schuster's movements throughout that holding, it not once altered his movement, his path to his route that he was trying to run. He never once looked like he stumbled or slowed up. It didn't affect Juju. Was it holding? Yes. But it didn't affect him, and they hadn't called that call all night. That's my only problem with it.
Are you saying his defense didn't fuck with the juju? Come on, that's good stuff. All right, wrap it up.
That's where we need to get out.
Yeah, that's where we're exiting this. I'm getting the sign from upstairs.
Okay, yes. All right, so as on our way out, remember Fantasy Sports Corp next week is where we will be in for the foreseeable future going forward. So get over there, give them a subscription, follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook, on Instagram, hit them all up. We'll be there. You can find us. Thank you for joining us again, and we will see you next week on Fantasy Sports Corp here for Divots and Pivots.